Okay, you guys, I see so many donors here and door knockers and my notary from the recall. And we tried to recall the school boards here. And I'm really glad to see you guys. I really appreciate it. So when I was running for school board and before that, standing on the streets of Fairfax County running the recall of school board members, I got to know every crick and crevice of this county along with Cameron, my campaign manager. And what we came to know is that each area of the county has a different vibe. And so what you're good at in Drainesville might not work in Mason Neck. And what you do in Clifton might not work in Centerville. And when I was on the campaign trail and I would run into Tony, I noticed he had the same. So you have to have this ability to talk to all kinds of different people. We're not just talking to Republicans when we're trying to win elections, especially not in this area. And if you try and discount people who agree with you, you know, you have to find the people that agree at least 51%. And I saw him talking to youth, and we went into the mosques, and we went into the temples, and we went into the synagogues, and we went to the Korean mega churches. And I'm very comfortable doing that. And I noticed he was too. And that's not a gift that everybody has. And when I tried, when I heard he was running and I decided to support him, it wasn't the people actually texted me and said, "You're not a real Republican. You don't have any credibility and you should stand down." And I was like, I got 100,000 votes in this town and I got it for a reason. Because I know how to bring people in. And that's the same gift Tony has. And that's why I did this tonight for him. Thank you.
You know, when she told me that, a little bit about my background, military. Then I moved into the Secret Service and then into CIA. Over 20 years serving my country, protecting American values, protecting Americans because they're Americans. When I heard that, it disgusts me. Our country is more than political parties. George Washington, his final address, did say this: the downfall of America will be the political parties, allegiance to the political parties over the country. And so when I hear things like that, I hear allegiance to a party over the country. Every American deserves to be heard, and every American is part of this fabric of the nation. Now, personally, I believe every American is a secret little conservative inside of them. We just got to get them on out. And that's where I come in. Right now, we have a pivotal time in our country. We see huge division that's happening. Division more so than anywhere else. Look back in history, more division than you saw in the onslaught of the Civil War. People hating people. And why? Because you have a view that they don't agree with. Now, our country used to be a country where you can have those views and have opposing views and debate about it. And at the end of the day, you could crack a beer open, or you're back in 1776 with the Marines, go to Tun Tavern and drink until the night goes up away, and then wake up with a hangover and be friends. But we lost that because we lost the essence of what America is and what America can be. Hey, I love that little kid. So what I'm doing is trying to bring our community together under the umbrella of the FCRC to utilize a platform for something I believe in. The FCRC is a platform, and that's all it is. The people within the FCRC is the glue that's going to bring this country back together, this county. And how we're going to do this? One, first, I assembled probably the most awesome team of former candidates. Some are here. Let me talk about former candidates. We put our heart, souls, and everything of us into these campaigns. We had the onslaughts of Democrats attack every essence of are being calling me things on Twitter that is the most disgusting things you ever heard. For example, saying that because I'm a big security guy and I was running for school board, that I want to put black kids in chains in prisons. Not knowing that my adopted son is black, who is also the youngest precinct captain in Providence. So they say these things, they really cut to the soul of me. Never had to deal with those things. What I dealt with was pretty much in my face overseas. Here, kind of behind the scenes, but I learned how to navigate through that. I learned to lean on my faith that this is something more than myself, that this is a path that was put on because I love my country. And it's my time to stand up and take care of my country, just like I did overseas. I just had a fantastic question. He asked me, why now? Why now? Well, 2018, I left the agency, so I couldn't do anything. Got some people here in the government, they know all about that. Then I went in to learn business, capitalism. Okay, how am I going to expand myself? So I took a small company from a mom and pop company, grew them nationwide. Then decided I want some more time. I want to work for myself. So opened my own company up, consultant for security advising, international and domestically. Freed up a lot of my time, sitting around trying to figure out what else am I going to do. So that's why I decided, like, if it's not me, then who? If I'm not going to stand up and take this mantle, love my country, I'm going to see everything I've built. I'm going to see everything, the futures of my kids, future generations just go away. And understand that the enemy is here. It's not overseas anymore. It's in our backyard. It's in our neighborhoods. We need to do something. So I decided to run. And it was stressful, but I did it. And November was probably the darkest day of all of our lives. We lost every single race, period. I think we actually took one. Well, Harity is a staple. Yeah. We lost across the board. We lost in the Commonwealth. We lost seats. We lost everything. And a lot of us candidates sat back and thought, what happened? A lot of us got together and went through all our feelings. We felt abandoned. We felt left. We felt, promises broken towards us. We felt a situation that wasn't set up for success. And we felt that there's a better way to do things. So 6 of us, the core 6 that are part of my executive team, decided, okay, what areas do we need to do? What do we need to concentrate on? And we develop our plan. That's why our forward plans are based upon that. Then we continued on to think, okay, well, how are we going to deal with messaging? Because obviously on abortion, the Democrats swept us off of that one message. So if you go to my website, I have a full message for abortion. It's sitting there. And you know what? That is the kind of things that we're going to do. If Virginia fails to give a message, the governor fails to give a message, as chair, I will give that message. Because in the absence of leadership, we have to have leadership. If the leadership comes from a small person in Fairfax County running as chair and his chair over the governor, giving a message to make sure we capture the moment, we hold the Democrats to their policies, then that's where it's going to come from. The loudest mouth, the loudest person gets the oil. And that's what we're going to do. So as we continued on, we started reaching out to our candidates, say, hey, join us, help us out. Some of them said, we'll support you. We don't want to take, they're distraught. They don't know what they're, what's going to happen with themselves. We respect that, but we took a lot of their input. Now our plan is sitting on my website. I think you can go to my website and look at the opposition's website and put them side by side. You'll see a stark difference between the two. One has a plan. One has words of platitudes. You got to do outreach. Okay. Heard that before. How are you going to do that? Well, let me tell you how we are going to do that. Day one, we're going to start engaging the community. And that engagement goes into real things that make an impression. We're gonna do food drives. We're gonna do clothing drives. I think Christian Ball was an organization that did one, and they had 500 people in Herndon. That's 500 impressions that they made. That's 500 impressions that FCRC can make. That's lasting impressions that we're giving back to the community. And that's all we're going to do that. We're going to give back to the community to bring them closer. Second, we're going to work on the safety of our community. Detailed plan on that. Community watch, 40% reduction in police force across the nation. A tight community is a strong community. A community that takes care of their neighborhoods is a safer community. And I personally going to use my knowledge and recruit others to do free of charge training on this stuff. We're going to go district to district, precinct to precinct, and we're going to teach these things. And lastly on that, fundraising. Everyone talks about fundraising. How you get the money to go do these initiatives. Easy. What we're going to do is a fundraising model that I put together. If I go to you and ask for $5,000, you're probably going to say no. Times are tough, right? Everyone has things, bills to pay. Things are increasing, inflation, stock market's down. So what we're going to do is we're going to ask people to start off, 20 people in every district. We're going to ask them for $10 recurring a month. 10 people or 20 people in every district, that's 180 people. Times that by 12 recurring, that's 21,600. We keep doing that and keep increase our grassroots, build upon that. By 2027, we times that by 20. That's $500,000. And how do I know this? Because these are simple things that I do in my own business. That's called maximizing. That's called starting off and just increasing. Okay? These are the simple things we're going to do. It's not rocket science. We fail to realize if we don't go to people, we don't ask for the small things, if we don't give back, you're not going to get anything. And the days of Fairfax being used as a piggy bank is going to end. It's going to end. I have one of the future state representatives right here that's going to help us out. And he's going to help end that. Because I like to say this, it's going to be mob rules here. You come to Fairfax County, you want to do an event here because you're running for state senate or you're running for senate, you're going to give back to local elections and you're going to put on your flyer. Part of the proceeds will go to local elections, and then that's going to go into a piggy bank for our candidates. So we have money for them, so we could buy things for them, so we could take care of them. So what happened, you guys know about what happened during this last election. A lot of them came in, they promised to give to local elections, and we got $0. And Nick's right here. He had to talk to a lot of candidates about that. And we're discussing. So that's not going to happen. So we're going to end that. And if they fail to do that, then we're going to hold them accountable. The power lies within us, the people. And that's how we're going to win elections. And so what I want to do, we're going to take some questions. I love questions. I hate talking. I like questions. We have a mic. Raise your hand. Give me some hard questions. Don't give me a question like, what's my favorite ice cream? Okay? Give me a real question. Okay.
How do you plan to do fundraising with FCRC?
What we're going to do, we're going to get those 20 people. So we're going to start off every district. So every district right now, we have with us different candidates that work different districts. I work in Providence. I'll go to my local, my diehard people that really support me and say, hey, listen, $5, $10 recurring. That's going to start from there. And then we keep building off that. That's where the initial baseline. So what I call that is keeping the lights on. That's going to pay the bills for the grassroots. Then we're going to host some galas, some phenomenal galas, right? Better in Loudoun County. We're going to challenge those things, all right? That's going to be very specific for certain initiatives. So we're holding gala for the federal elections. That money will go directly towards that. So everyone knows where the money's going. But to keep the lights on, to keep the big machine going, those small dollars. is going to be the key. And we're going to ask. And it starts with every single candidate that's working on with me. They're going to go to their supporters and they're going to ask. And some of my supporters might be here. I'm going to be asking you. So get ready. And that's how we're going to solve that. Yeah.
Tony, thanks for being here and making yourself available to the membership. My question, you were chair 2 years ago. What would you have done differently headed into the previous election? And strategically, tactically, what would you like to have seen, or what would you have done if you were the chair last summer, spring, heading into the elections?
All right, so let me kind of break that down. 2 years ago, I would have started the whole outreach. I would identify key leaders out there. And it's easy. Go to the churches. Okay, they're right there. Each church has a congregation. It's easy to find. So I would identify a church. I would have went to these churches. I would have started good rapport and built that rapport. The FCRC chair, my vision FCRC chair, is the biggest grassroots person, the biggest person with the smiles, the happiness. My job is to smooth them over to have them have believability in me. My team, the way this is set up, the strength of my team is my vice chairs. I have 5 vice chairs, all separated into 5 areas we found critical of part of a campaign: fundraising, events, outreach, media and communication, and technology. They are in charge of those areas. They're going to give 110%. So everyone knows exactly if a candidate has a question on media and communication, they're going to go directly to Dr. Ball right there, who has a PhD in media and communications. She taught that. Who else is best for that? So what we're going to do, exactly how we look at the strengths of everybody. Everybody in my executive team, I looked at their strengths. I can tell you right now, Now Win, he's part of the executive team. He is a decorated veteran, also very highly rated in the cyber field, cyber security, and also science, right? Computer science. Sorry, I'm not a cyber person. That's his realm. So any initiative, he's dealing with that, and he's making subcommittees to help him for these certain things. So first and foremost, you have to build a structure. Then you got to build vision and mission. What's our vision, right? We have a vision. Go on my website. We have a vision statement, right? It's to build a stronger community based off conservative values. And then the mission drives towards that vision. And what the mission is to reach every single person in the community and push, influence conservative values towards them. And how we're going to do that? Community engagement. So we're going to, if I go back 2 years, we start with that. And then from there, the fundraising, asking, $5, $10. That's it. Heck, you don't have to be a member. Just support our movement, what we're trying to do. $5, $10. That's going to start building. Then we go into training. Because I developed 5 critical areas, each vice chair is in charge of creating that curriculum for that area. So now a candidate comes in, you're going to come in. Here it is. You got your book, everything sitting there on communications and media. Why? Written by a person with a PhD that also ran. She's going to do her complete training with her team and so on. So you go through 5 critical areas. Then we add another area, because you have to add this area: salesmanship. Okay? You can't sell yourself, can't win elections, can't win votes. So we're going to go out, we're going to find good salespeople out there, and we're going to train our people. We're going to do scenarios so they feel comfortable. And the other portion we have it's a portion that I actually enjoy. It's called strategic intelligence. We're going to do slick sheets on all the incumbents. If you're a candidate, we're matching you up with somebody. That person, you're going to have all your attributes, what you're strong, what you're weak on. We're going to work on the weak, raise it up so there's no vulnerabilities there. We're going to strengthen up those strong areas. We're going to match you up against your candidate, and we're going to show vulnerabilities there. You're going to know more about that candidate than he knows about himself. You're going to know everything. So you're going to know, if you do a debate, what's his tendencies? What does he like to say? What is his go-to? You're going to already have your counters for all these things. So when they go in that, they fall in that trap, you got them. That strategic intelligence is going to give us a very good insight of what's happening out in the community and what's happening with, with the candidates, the incumbents. So those are critical things. We're going to treat this like an operation because it is. And a lot of you guys that are part of the government understands operations. The operation is to win elections. Okay, we're not messing around. I mean, honestly, I'll be truthful with you. We're going in a different, more radical way. But we already know the results of the ways we've been doing things, right? I mean, we're losing elections. We haven't won anything. Pat Harity, he's a staple. I wish Pat Harity will be able to give some of that advice that he's doing and bring it back to FCRC. But what we're going to do is we're going to go in a different direction. The direction we're going in doesn't work. New innovative ways, new direction with new purpose. Next.
How do we reach people who look like you and me?
What's that?
How do we reach out to people and who are not the traditional Republicans, but people
Yes.
who look like you
Brown
and me?
people.
Black people,
Brown.
brown people.
Easy. Easy.
That, how do we get this other?
I got you with that. Okay. So the question, if you guys can hear it, pretty much, how do you reach out to minorities in the community? You need a chair that is for the moment and for the time. Right now, it's 51% minorities in the community. Hey, 3 months ago it was 48%. It's increased 3% in just a couple months. It's going to increase. The Democrats already have a plan to target those minorities. You need to have somebody that can relate, that they can look at that person and say, I see myself. That can inspire young voters of minorities to say, hey, listen, I can achieve also. They have conservative values.
Yes,
They don't trust Republicans. Want to know why? This is what I was told. We see you, meaning Republicans, every time there's an election. You say all this stuff, and then we see you never again. You disappear. Broken promises. I have to go in there and fix broken promises. That's going to be a daunting task. Trust me. Humble Pie is going to be my middle name right there, going in. But it can happen. And I can tell you this. I've talked with the Muslim community. I talked with the Hispanic community. I talked with Asia. I'm actually part of the Asian Chamber of Commerce. They're ready to join. They're ready to move forward. But they want to see an effort of change. They don't want to believe in us anymore. If they see the same, they're going to do the same thing. I don't want to be part of that. They see the change. They see us moving towards there. They see us engaging. They're going to come on board. And you need a person for the moment in time. Hey, my opponent, phenomenal person, has a phenomenal resume. When I win chair, I'm going to ask her to come on board. I think she'll do phenomenally, with her analytics. We could use that. But we need someone that be able to sell the product. And to sell the product at 51% takes someone that can relate. You put the right person at the right moment with the right attributes to succeed. And that's what it takes.
I have a question.
Sure.
So, the average median age group in Fairfax County is 38. The average, and the Democrats and the Republicans, they're like really close to each other. Like Democrats are more than a little bit of Republicans. So lately, it's been Democrats that have been winning every single race. So I see how you're putting these things together, but are you doing analytics on why exactly the Democrats are feeling like why they don't see how they're okay? Let me think. I'm trying to
figure out how to bring in the youth.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
one thing. The 38%. Also, there's independent voters. I don't know what the percentage of independent voters are, but how are we going to bring those aboard? Because there's not enough Republicans.
Mm-hmm.
We have too high Democrats.
Yeah.
So we need to bring other people in who understand, who see. I mean, how are we going to show them that we're the best?
I will tell you this, and it's easy. Okay. Strategy in the military, and if you guys want to refer to Dan Bongino on not Dan Bongino, Ben Shapiro, he talked in November 7th. He talked about what happened here with the abortion issue. And he said he's a staunch pro-life to the point he mentioned in the podcast that even on rape and incest, he doesn't agree with that. Okay. What he did say was you cannot run platforms that work in Florida and in Georgia, in Northern Virginia. It doesn't resonate. We have to understand what the base is and how to communicate. That's why I have a doctor in communication and media right there on my team, because we have to craft things a certain way that's more digestible to them. Now, I did. If you go look at my abortion, if you don't like it, but you like Youngkin, then you don't like me, because it's exactly Youngkin's idea, 15 weeks, so on and so forth. I crafted the message a little bit differently to put more empathize with the person that's having to go through that. It's the delivery. If we are hard and don't change our delivery on our message, we will lose, because our delivery is more of a delivery that's good for Florida, but it's not good for Northern Virginia. Now, going back to the other question, the youth. We have to connect with the youth. Sorry, youth don't like to go at 8 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday and have a breakfast. No, they don't. I hardly like waking up at that time on a Saturday. All right. They like networking events. That's how we get them. They like doing fun, cool things. So how do we do that? Well, one, looking through here, we got government employees, former government employees. We got people, professionals. Match them up, do a networking event. Match them up with people in GMU that are going through certain courses or going to get a degree in a certain subject, so they could get mentored. Mentorship's the key. Once you start mentoring somebody, then you can start instilling conservative values, because you built that trust. If I keep yelling towards someone, you need to do this, you need to do this, you're going to shut them down. But we're going to take a different tactic. We're going to take the tactic of more empathy towards them. We're going to take the tactic of networking, bringing adults together with young adults, mentoring them, and instilling conservative values so they become conservatives on their own. That's it. It's easy. The name of the game is people. It's not money. It's not votes. It's people. We get people on our side, the votes will come. We get people on our side, the small dollar donations come. We get people on our side, we win Fairfax. We keep talking about we need money, more money. I'll tell you this, more money does not win elections. I'll tell you the reason why. Hillary Clinton, $518 million, 2016. Donald Trump, $316 million. Donald Trump won. Dollars don't equal victory. People do. He was able to connect with the people in different mediums, from the young to the old and everyone in between. That's how we're going to do that. Next. Beautiful guy down there and over there. It's all right.
This is the first time I'm coming to a Fairfax Republican Committee, any of the meetings. So
Welcome. I want to hear everything about you.
So I have a couple of things, but I'm going to be brief. Number one, how do you plan to engage social media to increase awareness about your campaign and FCRC? I had a hard time connecting with the FCRC. I'm sorry. Number one. Number two, I think you spoke a little bit on abortion rights or reproductive rights.
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit more?
Okay.
And number three, I'm coming from a very diverse background. I'm a Muslim.
Mm-hmm.
And how do you connect with them, especially with reference to the Middle East war?
Yeah.
I work for government, they call it Middle East war. That's it.
Yeah.
So how do you, feelings are very strong right now. So it can play very much in favor of for FCRC.
Okay, so let's I'll make sure I get all. I may ask you what the other ones were, but let's talk about the social media. So the other day I went to a young conservative meeting in Fairfax County. In GMU. So most young people use social media. That's their means of everything. So I want to get the youth. I asked them, I want to bring you guys on board to create fun, funny, conservative, exciting little 30-second commercials that we're going to put on Instagram and Facebook and everywhere else that the youth's at. That's going to start driving that. So social media is going to be a big key with me. We have to have exposure. Right now, everyone pretty much here in Fairfax County has a social media account, regardless of what it is. It may be Instagram, maybe TikTok. They got something. We got to target those things because that's communication. So we're going to push conservative values in a fun way. Nobody wants to see a boring person just talking, you need to be a conservative, blah, blah, blah. No, we're going to do fun stuff. You know, things that catch them within the first 15 seconds. That's why I'm charging, Christian Ball with that, running that section. Say, hey, come out with something fun, inventive, and we're tapping into the youth because they know what they like to see. I may not know. I'm 49. A 21-year-old have a different view. They get motivated a different way. So that's key with that. It's the youth, social media, youth.
And it's TikTok and Instagram, not Facebook anymore.
Oh yeah. Facebook is for us.
Facebook is for
Facebook was like MySpace. Who has a MySpace? I do. I still have MySpace.
So the next question was on your views on abortion rights.
Yes.
And women reproductive rights.
So I will tell you this. I'm a Christian. I had my salvation back in 2016 after a very bad situation and struggled for decisions I made. And I promised myself that I would not make those decisions ever again. I thought I was the cause. I could have stopped some stuff, and it resulted in 2 of my 10 team members dying. The burden I carried, and I struggled. I struggled like a lot of people out there dealing with that kind of stuff. And my salvation came to me not by wanting it. It came to me by a friend that needed some help. They were doing the big, back in 2000, I think it was 2015, they had the big Christian thing down at the National Mall, all the bands and everything. And so there was a group called Hillsong United. I didn't know anything about them. I was a Catholic, So I helped them out. And then seeing the power of all these people, thousands upon thousands of people worshiping, just the love sitting there, it started bringing something to me. And then going and helping them out and being around that started changing me inside and healing me. And so my faith really drives a lot of it. It's everything in my decision and what I do. Now, understand that there's 2 parts in me, my faith and my conviction towards the Constitution. I'm a Constitution conservative, and I lean more towards a Reagan conservative. I grew up there in the 80s, so I love it. It was awesome back then. And so when I look at those 2 things, I balance that out with my views on certain stuff, right? So like I said, first and foremost, I believe in God. Abortion, for right to life. But I also understand that the judgment of a person doesn't lie within me. It lies within that person and God himself. And if I'm here to judge others based upon the actions they do on earth, then I'm saying that I'm God himself, and I'm never going to be God. The Bible says 2 things when Jesus says to them, what are to the disciples, and when they asked them what are 2 most important things, he said, love thy neighbor, love your God with all your heart. And so if I love thy neighbor, how can I judge thy neighbor? So I can't judge someone's actions. I haven't lived through that path. I haven't walked a day in their shoes and say, you're wrong for what you're doing. That's something that's left to a higher power, whether it's Allah, God, Jesus, whatever it is, it's left to the higher power. So when I look at that decision that a person has to make to kill their child, there's going to be trauma there. We don't talk about that. We have abortions and they just go. And then they go through life and things will trigger them like PTSD, which I suffered. And I know how it could just trigger you. We don't provide counseling for that to prepare them. We don't provide preparing them prior to the medical procedure. So we got to do more in that stance. But also, we got to understand that this is not about a doctor and the female. It's not when Democrats say it's between doctor and female. No, it's not. Because after the doctor does the procedure, they move on. They have no skin in the game. It's between a female and the female themselves. And we got to give them the full support, not judge. Now, how can we change the tide of abortion? I look at abortion as a medical procedure. There's a broken system that we have, and it's within our communities. We lost values and morals. We're not doing that. So what we do, bring conservative values and morals. We give options. One of the people that we're talking, an organization that Christian Ball is talking with, that's going to be critical with us in outreach in this, is giving options. Options as far as financial support, job placements, if they keep the child, options to understand the trauma that's behind that, if they're ready for that. And then if they do go forward with abortion, they're there to assist the female for their post-abortion, the trauma that's going to be associated with that. They also offer, placement for the child. If you do bear the child, placement in good homes. We're not giving the females options. Once we start giving the females options, they can make better choices. Right now, there's 2 choices, A or B. But there's a whole gamut of other choices. There's families here that will love a child. And we need to give that option to them. And then, that's the last one.
Middle East war.
Oh, that's a tough one.
It's tough, but it can.
It is.
Explain the view.
And it affects here. It affects here. That was calm me out right there. So no, it affects here. Why? Because we have a very diverse community. And I'll tell you what, the actions of an individuals, such as a terrorist group like Hamas, does not equal to the Islamic faith. It does. It's against it. The Islamic faith, because I lived in Palestine, I lived in Israel, I lived almost everywhere over there during my 20 years. The faith over there is just like Christian faith. Love thy neighbor, love your God. We got to understand that. And during these conflicts, we can't have that 10% of Hamas, Hezbollah, and everything being the voice for the Muslim community. Nor should we have on the opposite side, on the far right, and everything the rhetoric they're pushing be the voice for the whole conservative movement, or I'm sorry, the whole Christian and Catholic movement. It's just not there. So we need the more 80% in the middle to start standing up, to say, no, we condemn those actions. We're about peace and love. And there's more that's common between us. But, that's a great question, because you could take that into politics. Right now, you got 10% on the far progressive left. You got 10% on the far right. They got the biggest, blowhorns, and they're yelling and screaming. Media looks at those directions, and they're like, okay, that's where everyone's lying on those sides. And that's not true. You got 80% in the middle that are just not caring. They're like, whatever. I'm not dealing with this. We need to start rising up. This 80% needs to start rising up. We need to take over our country. And it starts with those things. The 80% that are about love and peace in their religion, stand up and say, hey, no, I condemn that. So that's how we're going to do it, but it also falls within how we're going to fix our political lines. Love questions.
Kristen.
I'm sorry. I have 2 questions.
Sure.
One is about the human trafficking,
Yes.
and the other actually is related to how the 80%
Yeah.
can get a hold of intel that helps them come up forward more effectively. Because many
Yeah.
people say they don't come forward because they don't know how to
Resources.
they don't know what to talk about, so they say nothing.
Yes.
And they don't know where they're going to find the truth. So they believe things have been fed to them that they don't know how to relate to.
Yeah. So let's talk about human trafficking. It's the most disgusting thing.
I was going to say something about human trafficking.
Okay.
All right. So human trafficking, I noticed. I'm for life.
Yeah.
I consider myself for life, and for the main reason that I agree with you that ladies are not given enough options. There are little girls as soon as the traffic.
Yeah.
There are yeah.
Thanks for being here.
And there's they try to keep that a secret by using abortion and things like that to keep it so nobody knows.
Yeah.
And my question is, how can we raise awareness that that is the real issue, that the girls have to have more of an option
Mhm.
so that they aren't victimized and kept down?
Mhm.
Because I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
They have to have better options.
Yeah.
But what can we do for raising awareness? So basically, my main question is intel on both sides. How do we share?
How to share intel both on human trafficking?
No. How do we share intel for the 80%?
With the
How do we
public.
share intel recently about what's going on with the little girls?
Well, first and foremost, sharing intel starts with actually having a voice and having a statement, a message on these issues. Too many times Republicans are sitting back saying, okay, we're just not going to touch that issue. It's a local election. We're not going to touch it. But it does. It affects it. People want to know where you stand on these things, regardless of what you're running for. They want to know. So it goes into the message goes into what are we saying? Are we in front of these messages so the Democrats don't take over that message and then now create the narrative for it? So that starts with social media, that starts with putting statements out, talking about the real issues that people are dealing with and not hiding from those things, not being afraid that, you know what, maybe we need to pander this way or that way. No, just come out a statement from your heart of what we need to take care of, what we believe in, based off strong conservative values. Which conservative values is love thy neighbor, love God. I mean, that's one of it. You love God and your country. And then start talking about, you mentioned sharing intel, right? Across the board. Yeah. And that comes with the FCRC being that leading grassroots operation that will pass that information or will talk about these things that are affecting. If we don't talk, if we stay silent, we're not going to get anywhere. We have to spark these conversations. And as the chair of FCRCs, it will be my duty, my job to make sure my team is putting messages out there to start these conversations. So then now we have positive communication between, say, two sides, say in the Middle Eastern conflict that's happening right now, two different sides. So we can lower down that rhetoric. We can start bringing down the temperature because we're starting communication on these things. All right, let's do
One last question.
Yeah, one last question. We'll get Nick Anderson up here.
Hey, Tony. Thank you for the time earlier speaking with me. So what you're proposing is monumental change, and change takes a lot of time. And I'm under the impression that Katie Gorka is retired, so she has a lot of time on her hands, and you still hold a full-time position. So I'm wondering, how much of a time commitment are you willing to make? How many hours in a week are you willing to make, and in order to push your initiatives and to push your agenda in Fairfax County?
No, that's a fantastic question. So real fast on that one is I work for myself now, I own my own company. So I pick and choose my contracts, what I want to do. One of my contracts, I work from home. I probably do, as a sub-manager, I probably do about 5 hours of work a week. So everything's remote. So I do have a lot of time. My other clients are, I deal with international stuff. So they push things towards me. I have my team to take care of things. So I'm more sitting over there as subject matter expert for the manager and pushing things out. So there's a lot of time I do have. There's times where I do go overseas for small snippets, 4 days, I'll be gone. But the way the system's set up is I have my 5 vice chairs. So if I'm removed from there, the machine keeps going. It's not about me. So voting for me is not voting for Tony Sabio. Voting for me is voting for my team. My team is what makes us strong, not myself. I'm just a spokesperson. Who's my team? Yep. Person ball, communication, non-win, technology, CAS, outreach. That's yep, a coin, Max Fisher, fundraising, Paul Barron, events. That's the 5 core that helped me develop this whole thing. Now I have other people that are ready to come on board. We win that chair, they're going to come on board, take subcommittees. But this team started back in November. This started in November. This is not, flat fry thing just putting together. No, this started in November. It's been very meticulous. And so that's why I could talk up here and talk about the very granular things that we're going to do, because we will start this. I mean, we've already done it. So we're pretty much taking our campaigns and everything we've been doing for the past year and saying we're going to continue our grassroots and keep continuing going. Sorry to say, my opponent doesn't have that ability. She's going to have to develop these things. She's going to have to develop committees. I have it ready. She's going to have to develop a plan. You look at her website, my website, there's no plan over there. Sorry, no plan. And guess what? This chair position, after the 16th, 3 weeks. The expectation is in 3 weeks, you get that chair position, you start. You don't start 6 months later, because we have election right now. We have Van Meter running. We have Trump running. We have real stakes out there. So we don't have time. So if you want to vote for a chair that has a team that's ready to move forward, and April 6th is ready to initiate his plan to win elections, it's right here, moment in time. That was the last one, but my brain is fantastic. Nick, let's have Nick talk a little bit before.
All right. Well, thank you all. Thank you all so much for being here. Saundra, thank you for hosting this. This is absolutely great. And Tony, thank you for sharing the stage with me for just a few minutes. It's yeah, I want to really focus on one of the things that Tony mentioned early on, and that's kind of the community. And I think I was talking to Glenda about this earlier today, actually. I don't really care if you're religious or not. I'm gonna use a religious analogy really quickly. Where I grew up in Florence, South Carolina, because the Marine Corps was what brought me here, and we've been here for well over a decade now, me and my family. Where I grew up in Florence, South Carolina, I grew up a member of a Calvary Baptist Church, and the way that we met new people and the way that we brought in new people was once a month we would have Visitation Sunday, and it's bring a neighbor, bring a friend, bring your cousin, bring whoever you want to, bring somebody new to church. Every single Wednesday we had a spaghetti dinner. Bring somebody by. It's a free, it's a free dinner. May not be the best spaghetti in the world because who knows who's going to be back there helping to make it that week, but it's a free dinner. It's an opportunity for fellowship. Those were the types of connections that we started to form that really gave you the basis of community. When I was a kid growing up, I couldn't go anywhere. I couldn't go to the movie theater. I couldn't go to the grocery store. I couldn't be running around the park without somebody calling me out if I was doing something wrong, or my mother knowing about it before I got home. This is well predating cell phones. I know that I look like I'm 12 years old. This is well predating cell phones. We don't really have that same sense of community here anymore, and especially within the party, it's really important that we develop that and that we use that as kind of the core of our outreach function to make people feel welcome. When I went to what I called my first major duty station in the Marine Corps, I got stationed at Camp Lejeune, North Carolina. This is the height of the OIF, OEF surge, and I spent a lot of time deploying every single year overseas. My child was born when I was over in Fallujah, Iraq, and my wife moved up to North Carolina on her own. And those two initial touch points that she had, not knowing anybody in the entire state, was the church and the Republican Women's Club. I think I told this story at the Christmas group a little earlier. That Republican Women's Club brought my wife in, made my new infant feel like family. My wife decided to run for office because of that. And those ladies in the Republican Women's Club followed her to every single campaign event she had, and they took turns holding my daughter, getting the bottle out, helping to feed her if she was crying, changing diapers, helping my wife out, things that she was doing, because it's awfully hard having an infant and your husband's off gallivanting halfway around the world. But that Republican Women's Club is what really brought her in and made her feel like she was a part of the community. And those are friends that we still have to this day. Those are honorary grandmothers and aunts that my daughter is going to have, for the rest of her life. It's fantastic. That sense of community isn't something that we've yet established here. We have kind of what I'll call a transactional Republican Party. Once a month, you show up for a meeting, you're going to get talked at. That's about it. That's the end. The best part of those meetings for me are the 10 minutes or so beforehand where everybody's chit-chatting, kind of hanging out and getting to know each other, and the 10 minutes afterwards, and then we all spill out into the parking lot, because otherwise the school, Fairfax County, is going to try to take more of our tax dollars and start charging us overtime for renting that facility. Those are the greatest opportunities that we have to learn more about each other, to learn about things that the person can contribute, to learn more about their values, to learn more about what they want to see out of a party, and to see what they recognize is going on in their communities that we need to be able to address. So that sense of community, regardless of it would do anything else, is going to be core and central to how we're really going to take back Fairbanks County, and that's the basis for how we start to address the core of some of these issues. All right, so that was all just rambling because of Tony sent me on that direction. Let me start by telling you what State Central Committee even is, because nobody has any idea. It sounds an awful lot like a Communist Party organization, and that may be because it's a function of the Republican Party of Virginia, and they are determined to redistribute all of your wealth to losing elections. But the State Central Committee is essentially the board that governs the Republican Party of Virginia statewide. So the national level, you all know that we have the Republican National Committee. We send three people from Virginia to the Republican National Committee. Our party chair, a Republican National Committee woman, and a Republican National Committee man. All of those are voted on at the state convention that's going to happen May 31st, going to June 1st. The chair is running unopposed, you only get to vote for 2. At the RPV level, the Republican Party of Virginia level, we're governed through the State Central Committee, and every district gets the opportunity to send 3 people plus their district chair to the State Central Committee to govern everything from operations, the party plan, the platform, budget and investment strategy. That's really sort of where the nuts and bolts of the party and how it's going to run are organized. And then we have our units, where sort of the rubber meets the road, where Tony's been talking to you about FCRC and a plan for unit chair there. Those are sort of the different layers that you have. The reason I decided that I wanted to get involved in State Central Committee, which admittedly sounds exceptionally boring, is really just because I was also angry after our elections this year. I had just gotten through serving in federal government. I was performing the duties of Assistant Secretary for Energy, or Cybersecurity, Energy Security, and Emergency Response. My time in federal government ended, and I met some folks here within FCRC, like Rosie Oakley and Sean, and a few others, that took the opportunity to grab me and say, okay, great, you're no longer Hatch Act covered. Here's a shovel, we've got plenty of stuff to do, let's get to work. So I took the opportunity to jump into operations and start looking at elections and campaigns. But in doing so, every opportunity that I had to interact with the Republican Party of Virginia, with the Spirit of Virginia, which is the governor's PAC, with the House caucus, the Senate caucus, with anybody else who wanted your hard-earned money, they continuously refused to provide investment so we could build infrastructure here within Northern Virginia. And that is short-sighted for a lot of reasons, even just very selfishly for them. They need us to have a decent infrastructure here to be able to help win presidential elections, to win statewide races if we want to continue to have a Republican governor, lieutenant governor, and AG ever again at any time in the future. So even if for only very selfish reasons, they should want to have some investment here. And the amount of browbeating that it took to get a single penny out of the caucuses and then absolutely nothing out of our own state party was truly embarrassing. And then I had to come back here and I had to face all these candidates and tell them, I'm sorry, turn my pockets inside out. I've got nothing for you but 2 a.m. emails with me trying to do the best I can to tell you administratively what you have to do to be legal and compliant. That is absolutely shameful. And it is most shameful because, as Tony mentioned, they don't have any problems coming up here and treating us like a piggy bank. They will turn us upside down and shake us until there is nothing left, and they are bankrupting every single one of you, the futures of our kids, the futures of your grandchildren. They're leaving us morally bankrupt up here because we do not have the infrastructure to build to provide adequate leadership within our own communities. It is absolutely shameful. Second thing is transparency and accountability. If you don't know what State Central Committee is, like I already said, because nobody does, it's probably because you don't have anybody from State Central Committee who's representing you in your state party actually talking to you about what the heck it is they're doing, how they're representing you, and how they're advancing our values and our vision for a Republican Party in the future. That's never something you're going to have to worry about with me. That's core and critical to what I believe is important, not only to go and represent our values within the Republican Party of Virginia, but also to be communicating with you on how we're going to be engaging in strategy, engaging in outreach, engaging with our investments. And the third thing is just advancing conservative principles. Until we build the infrastructure, until we're accountable to one another about what's really important, we're not going to be able to advance conservative principles that are going to be so important for establishing what the heck is it that we actually mean within this broader community within Northern Virginia. So thank you for giving me a few minutes, Tony. Thank you again for hosting, Saundra. This is absolutely wonderful.
You're welcome.
I am Nick Anderson. I'm running for State Central Committee. Our convention's a little bit different. I will mention administratively, if you want to vote for unit chair, that's going to be something you do on the 6th. 2 weeks later at Woodson High School is where you're going to vote if you live in the 11th Congressional District where I'm running. It's the same registration form you can fill out, but it's a separate entry fee. It's a separate, registration. You have to click the extra button in there. I have my laptop tonight. I'm happy to register you and walk you all through it.
And make sure you point out that the deadline is this Saturday at
And
noon.
the deadline is noon Saturday, which is why I'm walking everywhere with my laptop and registering people like a crazy person, Kate. No.
Okay.
She can. Because Fairfax City is in the 11th Congressional District, but if you live in Fairfax City, though, the registration deadline's already passed. Each unit sets its own deadlines. Like the City of Alexandria, their deadline's passed. City of Fairfax is passed. That's something they got to go back to their unit with. So technically, this is more. I understand. I understand. I will come over there and talk to you about this in just a minute because I don't want to bore everybody here. But this is the type of administrivia that's nonsense, where we're not doing outreach, where we have good Republicans who want to be involved and they want to be part of our community. We're not even talking to them where they know that they can register for a convention to vote on the leadership of the party. I agree with you. It's completely messed up. But yeah, the Fairfax City deadline's passed. Alexandria is passed. Arlington is passed. The county is still open. And I think Prince William is closed as well. Like Loudoun County is having their convention this weekend. Like there are lots of other places. Yep.
So I think that Tony and Nick would make an amazing team, and getting us further along in our elections in this county. And as far as what this gentleman was asking about, we can unite a lot through the children, because all of these different people have children, and what's happening now in the schools is frightening. And I know, talking to all the different groups of people, that's a central concern. So we can start there. I hope you'll join us. And I'm a member of the NRA now. And I wanted to give a shout out to my shooting instructor, Adam Wise, if anyone needs shooting lessons. And I'm sorry, my dog, he's a Doberman Pinscher. He thinks he's supposed to be guarding me from all of you, and he's in the garage and he's losing his mind. Thank you for coming. If I let him out, if there's anyone afraid of dogs, maybe I'll wait.
I think Glenn has a petition.
I have a petition for Mike Van Meter. I have a petition here for Mike Van Meter for the 11th Congressional District. I think most of you have signed it, but if you haven't, please stop and see me. We're still collecting signatures. This petition does not mean that you will vote for him, that you necessarily support him in the election. It's just to get him on the ballot. So please stop and see me. Thank you.
Perfect. And remember, 16th, noon, deadline. You want to sign up right now? We'll walk you through. I have volunteers over here. I have a laptop. We'll walk you through, so there's no confusion. You have to be there on the 6th. So if you have a vacation, please reschedule that vacation. Please. All right. So thank you so much for your time. And eat the rest of the food. There's a lot of food.